February, or today is February 4th. That time is 11 o'clock. Present with us is GIS and Melissa Moores. And if you'd start us out, what I've got questions, and if you want to explain to us what's going on, but with your new legends and stuff on the map, you'd be able to explain a lot of that to us on some of the stuff, at least for me, as we were looking at it, what the changes were or alterations and such.
Can you bring it up?
I can.
So you can tell me exactly what you got questions on. Cause I can customize it however you want it.
So maybe if you could walk us through it some of it or any, I haven't used it before.
You want the mouse, Melissa, to kind of run them around a little bit?
Yeah, do you have specific questions?
Yeah, what I'm trying to remember what it was, though, to be really honest with you, without seeing.
Sometimes get to the layers and stuff.
So you go to layers.
Probably most important.
Yeah. And this turns them on and off. So if you want to see something,
Mhm.
you want to turn it on,
You get rid of all those yellow dots, you hit that site structure.
address points.
You're right there.
Yeah.
That gets rid of the dots.
Oh, okay.
So the biggest thing I think maybe that might be throwing you for a loop on this is that if you have the map zoomed all the way out and you turn everything on,
Mhm.
it gets super crowded.
I'm sure.
So I have a lot of that stuff set so that even if you have it turned on, it's not going to show up until you're zoomed in
Oh,
to a point where it's not going to stack up. I actually think addresses might be an example of that. Yeah, so when you're zoomed out, they don't draw even though they're turned on. Because it gets really confusing. So this list of layers is up to you guys. The other thing is that we should have these pop-ups give you information right now. Let's see, we've got township range and section turned on. But when you click on stuff, you should get, no? Yeah, an explanation of that feature, but the thing is to look here, so this is one of 3. So it's giving you the range. And then when you come over here, it's giving you the street information. And then, or the address information, and then here's the parcel information. So it's easy to miss these. You click on something and you're like, oh, that didn't tell me what I wanted to know. So the important thing to do is to look at that to see if you've got more than one little page.
And I think what we were talking about when you asked the question was the zoning for the property. I don't think we could find that. could we? The,
What do you call that? The thing that tells you what the zoning is.
Okay, so you got to turn zoning on. And only like most of the zoning's in the north end of the county. So you would have to actually, there it is.
Is there something that tells us what the zoning
what
is?
the zone would be for that section?
Let's see if I've got. Parcels. Yep, that's your zoning right there.
Basic resource, is there?
Yeah.
Is there something that tells us what basic?
Yeah,
resource is?
what's basic?
You know what? I don't have definitions for those. We'd have to get that from Ladena.
Might be nice to add to it if there's a way to put that right in there with basic resource, that what it is exactly.
Yeah, whether it's whatever basic resource means.
Yeah, I can add a field to the table and stick the definition in there for each one.
That'd be great.
So,
That would help. At least then we would know what dark blue differs from light blue and whether it's 5 acres or 1 acre or 50 acres or whatever it might be.
Dokes, want your mouse back?
Sure. Unless you're
Any
gonna
other?
maybe show them around a little bit more.
Oh, that's pretty much it. You just,
When you go on something, I mean, it gives your zone or your ranges and stuff.
Yeah,
Does it come down in any where it gives coordinates?
GPS coordinates?
Yeah,
I don't think so. Google does that though.
yeah. I don't know if there's a way, the map over in my office will show you what the coordinates are. I've never had anybody else for that before.
Coordinates of the zoning or?
No, the coordinates of where your cursor is, right,
Okay,
is what you want?
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, cause it'll show you the coordinates of like the address point. But if you want the coordinates of where your cursor is, there might even be a way that I can, is it handy to you guys to be able to type coordinates in and see where they come up?
It's never handy typing
Yeah.
coordinates. in.
You're asking for that? Yeah,
Just depends what you're looking on, what kind of coordinates, if it's decimal degrees or whatever.
I mean, is the township and range and sections, are they searchable so you can put it in what you want and, or do you have to go look for it?
no, they should be,
They're easy to find.
yeah,
They are pretty easy to find. I'm just wondering what else is out there.
yeah. No, they should be searchable.
So this is based off of WGS 84 format?
Um,
I mean, it's not UTM. It's all
no, it's not
WGS.
UTM, it's WGS 84 Web Mercator. So they have a new WGS 84 that's specific for web
Oh, really?
applications.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, but, the parcels, where we have the parcels in there, that's a state service and that's in NAT 83.
Oh, okay.
So, but they don't change. You know, with the coordinate system, nothing changes location, it's just the name that you call it by changes depending on what coordinate system you're in. So I think people get confused with that. And so you're just naming a point using one set of definitions versus another set.
The only other thing I saw, no disrespect, but the word districts, it's a boo-boo, the diatrics.
Yeah, it's driving me nuts.
Where is it?
Commissioner districts.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm dyslexic. I hate
They're right
that
next
too.
to each other.
That drives me nuts. Okay, I'll fix that.
That was another thing I was wondering, I don't need anything big, but would you be able to make a copy of the districts? The 3 districts on for the county, it's on a county map,
The commission districts?
yeah. commission.
Like you want a printed map?
I put it in my office. More office. You would, please.
Yep. Yep, no problem. How big?
Something legible, I mean, sort of a person can still see, the area, certain areas,
4
like
by
the
8.
roads and that.
4 by 8? We can
4
do
foot
it.
by 8 foot.
Yeah, we can do it.
Perfect.
Something to hide behind.
I think the one we've got in the office now is, it's
Yeah.
bigger than this, but
So what else do you want on it besides, the districts?
probably township range would be about the only other thing you'd need,
Parcels,
parcels, you know?
Yeah,
roads?
yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Alrighty. 24 by 36 is kind of standard.
Yep.
Stuff your roads in towns will pile up, you won't be able to see what
Right.
they are. So,
Okay.
but otherwise, yeah. I don't do very many printed maps anymore.
Thank goodness, huh?
Everybody, well,
They're
Fire
expensive and
departments
they,
always used to have maps and yeah, that was
yeah,
a pain in the butt.
I mean, I still like doing them, but
They get expensive, all that ink and toner.
yeah, we've got a really nice plotter now, cause I switched from HP to that Canon. And Canon just runs circles around. What that HP did, the price was the same. And
so
so,
you can print them if you need to.
I
if we
can.
were to need something, but we don't need to
yeah,
mostly.
but I don't get the requests for them like I used to. People just get online and,
Look,
yeah. You know, and I used to print a fair amount for fire response. And now they come in with their own guys and grab my data and they do all their maps. I don't print anything. Well, they post them online, then I print them, but yeah. One of the things that's going on with the NG 911 is all this data is going into a central repository at the state. So all the agencies have access to it. So people within the next year, I still get some people calling and they want, you know, a specific copy of my data. But within the next year, the whole state's going to be where pretty much anybody can get to it. So.
Is it getting more accurate, more and more accurate?
Well, you're always, the problem with a map is that you're dealing with the three-dimensional surface that you're displaying on a two-dimensional surface. So it's probably as accurate as it's gonna get, because you're always gonna have errors from that. It's like you remember when you were in grade school and they had the map of the world up there that looked like the orange peel that had been flattened?
Yeah,
You're always gonna have that effect.
right. I'm
So-
talking like addresses and road names and all. that
Yes,
stuff.
we're running, that's pretty much what I do 40 hours a week is I'm running the validations. And so there's a bunch of pieces to it, which Craig will understand because he's dealt with it before. Right now, I'm running all of the road segments, validations against Entrado. Because when
Lucky you.
Carl put a lot of them in, he didn't really understand how the system worked. And so he didn't put them in correctly, and then he trained me, so the first 5 years I was putting them in, I wasn't putting them in correctly either.
And I
And-
think there was a lot of stuff that was done back then that's not meshing with what they're trying to do now.
No, and that's why I spend 40 hours a week working on this, is I have to look at every one of those data entries and fix either my end needs to be fixed or Entrado needs to be fixed.
Yep.
It's mostly Entrado right now. The other thing is when we initially started putting those back in there, and you'll remember this from the early 911 maps, is that we didn't have a standard naming convention.
Yep,
Like sometimes highway got abbreviated, sometimes it got spelled out, same thing with Montana.
sometimes the west was added and
Yeah.
sometimes it wasn't. And
Sometimes it said Montana State Highway, sometimes it didn't,
Yeah.
you know, and
That's
so
all you're working on fixing all of that,
that's all I've been
for-
doing for,
and that's for the next gen 911.
yeah.
Okay.
And that's all I've been doing for probably the last 6 months. And it's pretty much the whole foreseeable future. So, because we still, the data set, and I was showing this to Doug so that somebody would kind of have an idea of what was going on with all this. So the new data standards for the NG 911, you know, before I had like 8 fields in the table. Now there's about 30.
I'm sure, yeah.
And so same thing, I either have to generate that data or if it's already in there, I have to validate it. So I have to do that for every single address and for every single road segment. And a road segment goes from intersection to intersection. So say Centennial Avenue's 10 segments. I don't just sit down and look at Centennial. I sit down and go through 10 segments
Wow.
of it.
And there used to be a thing where it had to be your master street addressing guide. Are they still using all of that?
That's
type of
what-
Stuff,
Yeah,
that's what you're building.
that's what Entrado is.
Right.
Entrado is the MSAG.
So do they still have where you need to, it has to be within a certain parameter to meet the new standard of
Yeah.
next gen?
And that's literally what I'm working on right now, and I'm averaging around 60, so I get a table, I send it to the state and they run it. Actually, they've been talking me through it on Zoom. They have a whole bunch of tools posted online. Stuff is slightly above my head. I have fairly regular meetings. We do Teams with Bob Cochran and I screen share and he's walking me through all this. Because my goal is to get to the point where I can run the validations without somebody holding my hand. So we get those validations and then I go through every error. I have, it's 1,280, I think, so I figured I'm averaging 60 of them a day, so that's 5 weeks. Just to finish this set, and we run them again. Yeah, and we run all of them like 2 or 3 times. To make sure everything works, because sometimes I'll fix them, but then something else will come up. And so something that didn't come up on the original invalidation now is a problem because of how I corrected it or whatever, because there's all these fields, every one of these fields can be an invalidation. So, and a lot of them are our good friends, the ESNs, the ESCs,
Yeah, I'm sure,
which have always been a headache.
yes,
So,
and then some.
yeah. And so I was actually really excited when you got elected, because I'm like, wow, somebody who knows what's, especially somebody I can talk to
I've been here a while.
when I say MSAG or ESNs, who knows exactly what a migraine ESNs are.
I will tell you, I was. When I started working at the sheriff's office. For the city of Boulder, really in 1989, we were just starting this whole 911 thing, and it has moved forward in leaps and bounds. Some of it was good, some of it was bad.
And it
but
doesn't look anything like it did
No,
when I started. It's not even related
It's
to what it was.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a big deal, but it's,
And so I guess the thing too that's important to understand about this, these are national standards.
Yeah.
So this, I don't know what the overall time frame is, it's years. Like 2 to 3 years, but the entire country will be standardized. And
The
it'll
same.
be, yeah,
which was always an issue.
Oh, sure.
yeah,
Every county has its own deal.
yeah. And that's the other, probably my next project too, when I get done at these invalidations, is getting so we have 5 counties that we border with. So then I have to get all of where I terminate a road on our county line, I've got to match it to where they terminated on their county line. So that'll be the next, because that's now has to become all one piece, whereas before we all kind of stood alone and we all had our own little systems. And so, and then a lot of the addresses that have been issued don't fit in the system, and I don't have any enforcement capabilities, so I can't make people change. Some of the post offices have been pretty handy. They give people 2 weeks and then they start sending their mail back. So that's been really good. So, but we still have problem areas. So, and we probably always will have problem areas. So they never really go away. Which is, I told people that's why we make maps. If everything was perfect, we wouldn't need maps. So.
Other side of that, how's that working out with Bear? I know you guys were working on active roads, those that are inactive and all that. So
Yeah.
working okay?
I haven't talked to him for a while. He and Ladina are doing a lot of the research on what is in county road and what isn't.
Okay.
And I can tell you that every single road, he's the 3rd road supervisor I think I've worked with, and every single one of them has had their own version of what was a county road. So I don't even mess with it anymore. I'm just like, give me your list when you're done, I'll put it on the map. You know, because it was, and you get a lot of these guys who've been there for quite a while, and you know, they're saying this has always been a county road. And I'm like, I don't have anything documented, but if that's what you want to say, I'll put it on the map. So, and if somebody comes back to me and says, how is this a county road? I'm going to say, talk to this guy. So, yeah, it's routine. I don't even pay attention to it anymore because I know it's going to happen. So, yeah.
I was thinking with Holly over there still working well.
They're going good. She's really cranking that right along. Bruce and I have her rebuilding the Discover, the promotional website. So she's working on that. She's taking classes. She's doing all the work. Bruce and I are basically functioning as project managers. And she always, she's very meticulous about coloring inside the lines.
Okay.
And we're trying to encourage her to think
outside the lines.
Yeah, and that she doesn't have to come to us to ask permission. So we're trying to get her to, I think it's a matter of confidence, work independently.
Good.
Yeah, and so, but she's doing really good. And some of the other, like, the libraries. So one thing we've worked on, which I think she's pretty much wrapped up. A lot of the entities in the county wanted their own little website in addition to whatever was on the official county, so the libraries being one. And so, but what they would do is go out and get their own hosting, and then somebody would quit, the person with the password would quit, and they'd be calling me saying, can you take this down? And I would say, I can't, because it's not on our server,
Right.
and I don't know what the password is. So what I'm trying to do is we're getting those pulled back in so that they're on, we pay for hosting now, we're no longer running an in-house web server. And so we're trying to get those all pulled back in where we have control of them.
Okay,
So,
that helps everybody out. then.
yeah. And so they can still log on if they want to make their own changes. And some of the more simple stuff Holly's set up so that they can do it. And then they have her handle the more complex
Mhm.
kinds of things, but they're back where we, have some control over.
Good. Can I have the
So.
notes back there, Melissa? I was
Yep.
gonna ask you, is there a standardized, format for the web pages?
There is by website. So each site has a template
Okay.
that the pages work in. And
Cause when I get to the home page, it's like, okay, where's what? I gotta flip down these and try to figure out what's what. And I don't know if that's kind of a standardized thing, and I'm just not very,
yeah, it is, because on the last website, I had a list of links, and that was what we got the most complaints about,
okay,
was having to scroll through the list of links.
okay,
So that's when we split them into short, and we went to a long drop down, and we got the same complaint about that as
Okay.
the list of
well, if
links.
this is working, you haven't got complaints,
Yeah.
that's great. It just seemed confusing to me that, if somebody doesn't know what judicial is and government and all that, but if they just hover over them, they pop down, so it's not. too bad.
Yeah, and the other thing is that, you have to really look at, the majority of our users are accessing this on a phone.
Yeah,
And so we have found the people that need government services the most are frequently the ones that do not have home internet, and their phone is their only access.
right, yeah. that's
And
true.
so a lot of this is built so it'll function on a phone.
On the little screen, okay.
Yeah.
Yep, no, it's good.
And
As long as you're not getting any complaints about it, it just confuses me when I get in there, so I just. wonder.
yeah, it's my old school brain doesn't always work with that stuff either, but
Very good, no, it looks good.
yeah. So it's, Discover Jefferson MT is the one she's currently rebuilding, although you can't see it
Mhm.
because although actually she can send you a link to it, we just don't have it published where Bruce and I we're doing meetings with her every 2 weeks where she updates us on what she's done.
Cool.
And I've seen a little bit of it and I like it.
Good.
So, this one we paid to have built for us, the frame built for us.
Okay,
So Holly maintains it, but most of the layout. Are we in trouble?
no.
Oh, I'm early for the next meeting.
We got a meeting, yeah, we got a meeting after this one, so.
You can have Holly put my cell phone number on there.
Okay, did she
Under-
get a picture of you?
She did, but then we didn't like it, and now I just decided I really don't care.
Oh, I showed her how to, so you were in front of the window, so it was
Yeah.
backlit and underexposed, and I showed her how to fix that.
So we can either take another one or whatever she wants to do, but she can add that
Okay,
to it. And
no problem.
we can fix it later. I
Something
get
you
over
might
by the day, so.
Yeah,
have her do too, and I'd go for this is, call or text, put on the cell phone, call or text.
oh, okay,
Because I've actually had a lot of people text me instead of calling.
Yeah, and I get that a lot too.
yeah, I mean, I know when I have to get a hold of you, it's a lot easier to just text.
Yep.
And you grab it whenever most of the time I try to call you, you're in a meeting.
Right.
So it's easier to
Like
text
that.
and you can get to it when
Yep.
you get to it.
Yep.
Dan doesn't have parentheses on his 406, I just saw that.
Okay,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and anytime you see that,
Yeah.
it's web help desk at Jefferson County
Okay,
-mt.gov and GIS help desk.
okay,
And part of what I'm doing, so that's a ticket system, just like with IT. And part of the reason why I'm doing that is so we can track
right,
how much Holly is doing, because I think for a while, people think that once the website is built, that's that. They
Right.
don't necessarily understand how she does updates every morning.
yeah,
Somebody's always got something. So having the tickets lets me compile that, like if you guys ever want to see,
sure.
Exactly what's going on.
Yeah, no, that's great.
yeah.
Good.
And so, yeah, so helps me justify paying her to do it.
There you go.
So,
Jan, is your office line forwarded to your cell phone?
Supposed to be,
Okay,
if it hasn't changed, it's been set up that way.
okay, because my number's listed for you.
Right, and that was because I'm using that as the primary right there
Okay,
for anything and everything.
but if they don't have your office number,
Yeah, that's why the port, but down there I advertise it and it's in the paper as that 5651.
okay,
It's in the newspaper.
okay.
All right.
any other
Thank you very much.
questions, suggestions, ideas? Yep. Nope,
I don't
just
think so.
anytime you need corrections, just shoot them over to us. So
Great.
Okay, thank you.
we're good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thanks,
for
Melissa.
coming in.
Yep.